Okay, so today we're going to start talking about parabolas. You learned about parabolas in Algebra 1 and in Algebra 2, but in those classes you only ever did vertical parabolas, up and down. There's actually also horizontal parabolas, so we're going to kind of get into that. Okay, so standard form for parabolas. Just like everything else, we have two of them. We have this one, which is 4p times the quantity x minus h. Notice there's no squared there, just x minus h, equals the quantity y minus k squared. Now from this one form, you're actually going to get two different parabolas. If your p-value is positive, you're going to get a parabola that opens sideways to the right. If your p-value is negative, you're going to get a parabola that opens sideways to the left. So these are horizontal parabolas because the x comes first, that's the one without the squared. So again, if x is first without the squared, then you're going to get a sideways parabola. Then we have this form, 4p times the quantity y minus k, again no squared there, equals the quantity x minus h squared. This is going to be a vertical parabola because the y comes first with no squared. So again, we could have two different parabolas here. If the p-value is positive, then we're going to have a parabola that opens up in the positive direction. If the p-value is negative, we're going to have a parabola that opens down in the negative direction. Okay, some more vocabulary here. Focus, that just means one foci, right? So we've seen foci before. There's usually two of them. But in the case of a parabola, there's only going to be one, so it's called a focus. It's still going to be an ordered pair. It's going to be a point. The way that you're going to get it is you're going to take your vertex and you're going to add your p-value. And we'll talk about that in just a second. A directrix is a line, either a horizontal line or a vertical line, and you're going to get that by subtracting your p-value. And again, we'll talk about that more when we do a graph. An axis of symmetry, you learned about symmetry when you were a little tiny. They would take a heart and they would tell you to draw the line of symmetry, right, where it can fold on itself. Same thing here. It's just the line where the parabola folds onto itself. And we'll have to write an equation for that, but we'll take care of that when we go to graph. Okay, so here's our first example. We have the equation 8 times the quantity y minus 3 equals the quantity x plus 1 squared. So I know a couple of things about my parabola already. I know it's going to be a y parabola because the y is the one without the squared. So I know it's going to go either up or down. I also know that this number out here is positive, so that means my parabola should be going in the positive direction. So I know right now that my parabola is going to look like this. It's going in the y direction and it's going positive, so it's going up. Your vertex is like your center in all your other conic sections, so you get that the same way. But again, sometimes you have to be careful because you have to pay attention that your x is going first. So -1, +3. If you look back to your general equations, 4p is in front of your first parenthesis. So when I go to find p here, this number in front of here is 4p. So 4p equals 8. So that means that p equals 2. Because if I have to get p by itself, divide by 4, divide by 4. So p equals 2. Save that thought for when we go over here to graph this. Okay. So far I know that I have a vertex at -1, 3, and I know I have a p-value of 2. Okay, so I plot my vertex, -1, 1, 2, 3. There's my vertex. My parabola is going to open up. So my parabola is going to go approximately like this. My focus is going to be a point inside my curve, just like it is on a hyperbola. So from here, I go to my p-value. So I go up to, and that's my focus. So again, I can either get that by just adding it to the y value here, because we're doing a y parabola, so -1, 5, or I can get it by just counting, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's my focus. My directrix, again, I told you was a line. We're going to get that by starting back at our vertex and going 2 spaces in the other direction. So that's here. And we just have a line that goes across. Horizontal lines, the equation is always y equals a number, because you can see where it crosses the y-axis. You can't see, because it doesn't, cross the x-axis. So we just go to what this y value is, y equals 1. Notice that's the same number that you would get if you would subtract your p-value, because we're doing a y parabola. So 3 minus 2 is 1. And it's a y parabola, so y equals. Our axis of symmetry is our line that makes the parabola fold onto itself. So it goes like that. This one crosses the x-axis. So this is an x equation. X equals, where does it cross the x-axis? At -1. Notice that is also our x-coordinate from our vertex. Okay, so let's do another one. So this time we have 12 times the quantity x minus 2 equals the quantity y minus 3 squared. So I know 2 things about my parabola already. I know that it's going to be a sideways parabola because my x comes first. I know my p is positive, so it should be going in the positive x direction, which is to the right. Okay, vertex, again, same as getting the center for all your other conics. So that's +2, +3. My little mini equation to find my p is that 4p equals 12. So p equals 3. If I divide those both by 4, true. So p equals 3. What's that going to help me do? That's going to help me find my focus and my directrix. But it's a little bit easier to see it on the graph, so we're just going to wait until we get over there. All right, so here we go. So we know that our vertex is 2, 3. So right 2, up 3. Again, we know from looking at the equation that we're doing a sideways parabola. Oh, that's a terrible parabola. We also know that our p-value is 3. So my sideways parabola goes this way, because again, my p-value is a +3. And I also use that to get my focus. So 1, 2, 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3 spaces. This 3 gives me my focus. And again, I can either just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So that's the ordered pair 5, 3. Or I know that I'm going 3 spaces in my x direction. So I'm ending up at +5. This is my directrix, which is my line. And again, 2 ways to find that. I can either say, okay, this is crossing the x-axis at -1. So that's x equals -1 for my directrix. Or again, I'm going in the x direction. I'm going 3 spaces, so 2 minus 3 is -1. So I have an x directrix. My axis of symmetry is again my line that divides my parabola in half so it can fold onto itself. This time it's crossing the y-axis at 1, 2, 3. So that's y equals 3. And again, once you get the hang of it, you'll realize it's that number that's been staying the same the whole time. 3, 3, 3. Okay, one last one. We're just going to do it all right here on this graph. So we have -2y equals x minus 3 squared. So this one's a little weird looking for a couple of reasons. All right, so first of all, we know that the y comes first, so that means it's going to be a y parabola. We know that our p-value is negative, so that means this is going to be a parabola that's going in the negative y direction, which is down. Now, this is weird because there's no parenthesis here. There's nothing attached to this y like we're used to seeing. But that just means that our y value is 0. Again, you have to be careful when that y comes first because it tricks you. For your vertex, your x has to come first. So that's 3, 0. So we go to plot that point over 3, up 0. So that's my vertex. I need to find my p-value. And again, my little equation there is 4p equals that number in front. So when we go to divide this 4, oh, this one plays tricks with my mind. -2 over 4 is -1/2. So your p-value is -1/2. All right, here we go. I know already that my parabola is supposed to be going down. It's going down. It's going down. All right, so my focus should be going 1/2 of a space from here, and it should be inside, so it should be there. So, but again, the shortcut is if you add this number to your y coordinate, so that's 3, -1/2. That's your focus. Your directrix, you take that 1/2 and go the other way. So that would be like here. This is all mushed together because 1/2 is a small number. Oh, that got ugly. All right, so your directrix, you're crossing the x or the y-axis. I'm sorry, y-axis. It's also a y parabola. All goes together. Y equals +1/2 because that's above here now. And again, the trick is you do this minus this, so 0 minus a negative is a positive. So that's where we got +1/2. Our axis of symmetry goes right down the middle here. And again, you can either count it, it's crossing the x-axis at 1, 2, 3, or remember the shortcut is it's the number that didn't change all the way through the problem. And that's all there is to graphing parabolas.